Hi everyone. I will make one recommendation. I know because I have wearing two speakers, two mics. Some of you may hear echo. I apologize for that, but that's for the video. And if you get closer, if you're not sick, if you get closer, you will see better some of the things because I will use small font intentionally, so you'll get closer. I'm going to talk about this, right? The background that I have around this, maybe I'll use this, the agenda. Who am I or you? What is the goal that we are trying to achieve here? I will trash talk a little bit about the vendors and what they are pitching. So if you're a vendor, sorry. And we will talk about automatic remediation. I will give you a surprise. So a little bit about me. I don't know if it's political for anyone here in the room. If so, your problem. I born and raised in Israel. I moved here in the States 7 years ago. I live today in Massachusetts with my wife, 3 kids. We have 3 dogs. We bought 2 dogs. We brought 2 dogs with us, and we got another one, and these lovely dogs. I used to run long distance. Since I moved to Massachusetts, it's too fucking cold to run half of the year. And now with the startup, I'm not running. And I'm in the AppSec space in 2007. So anyone here knows AppScan Standard, the tool? Raise your hands. 1 person. Okay, so that was the first automated dust scanner. I was a developer there before it was owned by IBM. Then IBM owned it, and like many other tools that IBM owned, went to the wrong direction. But I was there until 2021, different roles, until I left and started Mobb. Who are you? So, with a raise of hands, any developers in the room? Developer, security, AppSec folks. Product, business. Okay, it's kind of small mix. Who knows where this is taken from? This picture. This is the youngsters versus the old folks. Who knows this one? War games. I don't have prices this time. Actually, I do. So the first person that says war games will get this. You never saw where this is coming from, right? This is very unique here. You got a prize. Okay, then this one I guess everyone knows, right? No? Anyone doesn't know? No? Mr. Robot, you don't get a prize for this. I'm saving the next one for a tougher question. Okay. Don't take any picture of this one because I hate this. Let's wait for the slide to end. Anyone familiar with this slide? Excel. Excel, yeah. This is the IBM relative cost of fixing defects. It's basically when you talk about DevSecOps or DevOps, you're trying to say you should find things earlier because if you fix them earlier, it costs you less. I was looking, the industry was using this for a long time, and all the time I was looking at it and I thought, really? 100 times more? Isn't it too round of a number? And recently I found that all those that are using this slide, it's like a bogus slide. No one came up. There is no real research for this slide, so never use this slide in your presentations. When I was in Snowflake, actually the person before me used it, so I felt bad showing this slide, but hey, we put that aside. What is the goal? So we have some security folks here in the room. What is your goal in your business? What are you trying to achieve? It's an interactive, secure?
Reduce risk.
Reduce risk. Okay. You're trying to do that, why?
No data leak.
No data leak. Okay, so we are trying to help our business, I guess, right? From all the things that what is the #1 risk of your business today? Users. I hear that a lot. Users. What else?
Add value.
What?
Business value.
Value?
Add business value.
Add business value. That I don't hear much in security conferences. I hear a lot of people saying, security breach, of course. Brand recognition, brand reputation. Actually, no, it's not those. If you think about the biggest companies in the world, all of them got hacked, right? They're still the biggest companies in the world. So security is not the most important thing. It's important, don't get me wrong. Product. What?
Risk management.
Risk management? I don't know. I think for me, the biggest risk is to run out of business, and you run out of business when you stop being able to, when you can't compete anymore. Okay? So what helps companies compete? Deliver features faster, right? Better customer experience leads to better business results. Anyone disagree with this? Okay, so we got that right. Then, how do we get better customer experience, we have innovations, right? Still agreeing with me? More innovations, better experience, better features. You can grow faster, you can compete. Cool, we have that. At any time, you can stop me if you don't agree. Now, this is getting loaded. Better developer experience, does it lead to more innovation? If your developers are happy, if they can work faster, do you get more innovation?
No.
No, who said no? Always someone from my era. Why no? You don't think the developers, if they can develop faster, if they have better experience, they develop faster and have more innovation? No, I'm asking. That's perfectly fine. I'm learning from each conference that I go.
Possible that they could do more. It depends on how motivated they are to grow in their profession.
True. Okay. But if we want to, let's say that we have developers that want to grow and they want to innovate. If we put friction in front of them, that hurts their innovation. Okay. So I'll rephrase it next time. Thank you. Now, DevOps came basically to improve. I will tone down because it was loud. DevOps came because it helped improve the experience for developer. They can develop faster. So DevOps also supports better developer experience. Hands, agree? Disagree? Okay. Now the last one. DevSecOps also leads to better developer experience. Agree?
Not always.
No, right? It didn't work. So here's my first unpopular opinion. Present DevSecOps slowing down business, which means that it's bad for business, which means that and I was a vendor until 2021, AppSec, I was preaching, put AppScan in your DAS, in your SaaS, in your IaaS at every point of the way because it will help you release faster and more secure. And actually, in hindsight, I was causing damages, right? I slowed down the process. This is what vendors like to talk about, right? Improved response time, more secured code base, decreased time to market. This is what you go to conferences, and when you go to some of the sessions, they will talk to you and they will show you, hey, if you use our product, you will be more secure and faster. Okay, let's talk about reality. So there is always the battle between developers and security. And coming from Israel, I can trash on our side. Every time there is a new technology, cool technology, some cyber startup in Israel will come and find vulnerability in that technology and will ruin the day for everyone because they can make money from that. Okay? So let's say we started with DevOps. So security came and did DevSecOps, right? We ruined that a bit. Then rapid growth in number of developers on the developer side. So we said, okay, some of you need to be security champions because we can't handle it. We only have one security person versus 200 or 300 developers. Okay, we'll start using open source third-party libraries and we can go so much faster. So you know what? There are vulnerable open source libraries, so we need to check them. And we add APIs and okay, so you had APIs, you have API security testing, and you have cloud native, and you have CSPM, and you have, right? Security is always going to be there to stop you, to slow you down. Basically, you're finding more issues. I think that's the strange thing about DevSecOps. The more mature you get with DevSecOps, the more penalized you get because it will stop you. More security vulnerability in every step of the way, more than you can handle. In reality, what we built here is this situation. There is a security cop, although we said no, there is a security cop because the tool is there and the tool stops developers and tell them, you know, now you can't commit that code because you broke something. And developers don't like it, right? And rightfully so. So it's not fun, what we created here. Now, I want you to see it from the developer's eyes. You have a lot of security folks in the room. There is one developer. So from the perspective of the developer, what happens to him when you see a vulnerability coming from one of the tools? So that's the 5 stages of grief. The first one, denial, right? We all know static analysis tools report a lot of false positives. So this is not a problem. The problem is not in my code. The problem is in the tool that you, security tools, required me to install. But then later, oh shit, right? This F security team, we are recorded, so I can't do too much, is just hurting the business. They're trying to scare everyone of the code that I created, the beautiful code that I created. They said that there is a problem in it. So the next step is negotiation or bargaining. Okay, so hey, boss, if you want me to fix this, know that I won't do that, right? Everything is a balance. We talked about the risk management earlier, he said, right? Basically, if it's risky enough, I will fix it. Otherwise, let me do my feature. But then the next one, depression, okay. Instead of doing cool stuff, I actually need to fix what that no good security team told me to do. And at the end, you accept that. You're not happy about it, but you need to fix. So that's the situation. I mentioned that to someone at lunch. I did an experiment. I put a post on LinkedIn, and I invited developers to get on a call with me to get a $100 gift card to show me how they can handle fixing a single vulnerability. And I was working with Checkmarx at the time, and they gave me access. So I got the first guy, a senior developer whom I worked with in the past, very smart guy. Told him, here, SQL injection in Java. Sounds easy for anyone here, right, in the room? I hope. If not, don't say. And the guy told me I don't do SQL too much. I told him, okay, you have the documentation, use it. He read the documentation in Checkmarx, went to Google, went to Stack Overflow. After 33 minutes, he told me, can I use ChatGPT? I told him, sure, it's your job. If you feel comfortable in sending code there, send ChatGPT. Didn't do the right job. So that was experiment number one. Then I got an AppSec expert, 10 minutes, knock it without figuring out all the library just to make sure that the prepared statement is correct in the code that he was using. And then it got more interesting. I got a guy that just finished computer science in Chicago, in the university. He did a cyber course while he was there. Told me I want to do it in Python. I told him, okay, go ahead. He started, and you can see he's a student. So can I check Google? And I told him, yes, you can do whatever you want. It's your job, right? He tested, and he saw that he should do sanitization for the string. Not prepared statement, sanitization. Why? I don't know. Now, the SQL query was on account name. So he thought, okay, account name is character. That's what I will use. If it's not a character, then sanitize. So he started like this, and then, but what if there is a period in the name? Oh, I'll add a period. What if there is a hyphen? Oh, I'll add an hyphen. What if it's not in English? And then the guy was like, broke his application, right? So that was funny to me. The next one was sad. I had another student. She was in her last semester. I was prepared. By that time, I told her, you can use Google. You can call a friend. You can ask me. I'm here to help you. After 10 minutes of session, she closed Zoom, never to be heard again. So as security team, as you're asking your developers to fix those vulnerabilities, this is the amount of pain that you inflict on them. They didn't learn that at school. They didn't. And you're hurting the business because they are now going and spending hours and hours on trying to fix something. And this is not what we, the vendors, or you, the security teams, were trying to achieve. I'm working closely with the folks in Checkmarx and with others, and I really like this quote that I stole from Ori Bendit. He's the VP product in Checkmarx, and he gave it in one of his sessions, basically, because it's squirrely. When your developer is working on fixing a vulnerability, that developer is not driving the business forward. Let's understand that, yes?
Who created the vulnerability? Who wrote the vulnerability? Who made the mistake when they wrote the code?
I didn't say that the developer is not responsible.
Okay.
So, by the way, maybe their parents. Or their teachers at school, right? It's their responsibility to fix. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that what we are doing today doesn't work well.
But also, if you don't fix it, you're driving business backwards.
Yeah, I disagree.
What?
I agree with him. It's like,
Can you repeat? I didn't hear
by
that.
fixing the security thing, you're also driving business.
You're driving business?
Yeah, fixing the fix. I mean, it's gotta be
Because if you
fixed.
don't fix it,
Mm-hmm.
and you release a product to customers, then what? Right?
Blood's on your face.
Then
That's
your
it.
micro's out.
If you're getting hacked, yes. Security is quality. I'll agree with that. Okay, from my perspective. And any given product outside has hundreds of security vulnerabilities, right? We know that. Not all of them are known. That's why we have 0 days, because suddenly they're known. Someone made a mistake. I agree with all that. But if you're focusing on security all the time, you're slowing your time to market. You may not release in time, and you lose business anyway. So there is the risk that was mentioned earlier. There is risk mitigation. I'm not saying that go willy-nilly and don't check anything and don't fix anything. There is a balance that needs to be met. So here's another observation that I have. I think it's this, when I get close to this. Okay. Remediating security vulnerability is not a resource problem. Okay? Any person in this room believe that they don't have enough resources, but even if you can hire 10 more people or 100 more people, you will not be able to cope with the hundreds and thousands of alerts and findings that you have with your tools. It's not a process problem because, okay, stop, you're not committing anything until you fix everything. That's not going to happen. It's actually a technology problem. And the point that I'm trying to say here, in the past, all the security testing tools were not fast enough to do DevOps, and there was a leap in the technology, how it's faster and easier to use, and now they do fit DevOps. They can go in the speed of DevOps. Now we need another technology jump to help address the vulnerabilities. Now, yes, this is my unpopular opinion number 2. You don't have a resource problem, you have a technology problem. So, this is where automatic remediation comes in. And I will tell you a little bit about the story and how we tried it and how we failed at the beginning. Now, 7 years ago, I was a product manager in AppScan, and I went to a user group, and people told me, hey, we love your tool. I don't know if it was true. It was in the US. People are nice to you. We love your tool. You can find vulnerabilities automatically. Can't you always also automatically fix them? I said, no. I mean, of course not. How can you do that? Right? But now we got to a place where we don't have any other options, so let's open our head and try to figure out, can we do automatic remediation? Let's talk about the challenges. Why, here in the room, why can't we do automatic remediation? Throw ideas.
Too much code variability.
Too much?
Too much code variability.
Too much code
The way
variability.
you build is completely different the way than anybody else builds.
Okay. And too many languages.
Too
Do
many
that.
languages, too many architectural environments.
Okay. What else?
Lack of proper tools.
Lack of proper tools. Okay, thank you.
Dependencies.
Dependencies, what do you mean?
So one is linked to the other, and the other library is going to be inside the other library. So it's going to break when you try to fix it.
Okay. It's good because I have more bullets to add in future slides, in future conferences.
The business logic that's unique.
Business logic that's unique.
Contain while also fixing.
Okay. What is the number one problem in static analysis? Well, anyone here ran a static analysis scan? Raise your hands. Anyone here likes static analysis results? Really? Good. Okay, for those who ran static analysis scan, how many of you saw a scan with more than 100 findings? More than 1,000. Keep your hands up, as long as 10,000. 100,000. None here? I had 500,000 in another conference once. One told me that he had 150,000 critical vulnerabilities in a single scan of a bank. So yeah, but the problem with static analysis, and I have more because, as I said, I did it in a few other conferences. So the size of the problem, I think it's related to somewhat to what you were saying. Number of languages, frameworks, different issue types. False positives was not mentioned here. Static analysis is known to have false positives. I don't like that term. I think it should be called non-exploitable findings, but it doesn't matter at this point. Fix need to meet different coding perspective. Maybe in your organization you do things this way and different in another organization. You get a report from static analysis and it doesn't know everything about your application. So how can you fix something without knowing all the context that is missing? Architectural, I think you mentioned that, right? Business logic, can you actually fix business logic automatically? And this was a new for us. So you're running static analysis scan and it finds issues. And then you fix them automatically or not. Fix them following best practice. You run a static analysis scan again and it reports the issues again. Why? Because the way they test it, what they are looking to find is different than what you did. And we didn't talk about this, and I think it's because ChatGPT and people are used to take code automatically now, but at the beginning, the idea was there will be a lack of trust of, okay, a security tool automatically generated this code. Great, I'll take that and put it in my repo, and great, why shouldn't I trust it, right? Basically, from my experience, and it's not as much as some of you in the room, developers don't like security tools. They always try to fail those security tools. They always try to find a reason not to use it. So there's also the risk of if this automatic remediation breaks something. So saying all that, all challenges, we all know about this guy, right? Well, most of you know this. Some of you from my area know the face also. Mighty Mouse for different generations. Basically, why can't ChatGPT save us? right? People are using it already. So here's an example, and that's why I said you need to be close. I asked ChatGPT here, I can't read it even, because that's resolution. I asked it to fix something, basically, here. Here, now it's bigger. I asked it to fix a problem, and it built the fix for the problem, but it misses the important part. It created a new method, and it says, OK, implement your file sanitization logic here. That's the answer that ChatGPT gave you. So, hey, here's how you fix it. Here's your code. Sanitize files. And you go a few lines below, and the template, sanitize file, here's the logic that you need to introduce. So it didn't really fix the problem. Then the second one, I asked it to fix command injection from a code from DVGA, I think. I did it. Or another one, and it actually fixed it, but no one noticed that it has the fix, and then it tells you on top of the fix that I created, you need to make sure that you sanitize ID. So if you just copy this code, you fix the command injection, but you introduce no SQL injection, which is not great either. So ChatGPT is not great. I use ChatGPT a lot, by the way, but it's not there yet. We did an experiment with another AI model. We ran through Juice Shop and WebGoat, ran it through 2 different SaaS tools, had 105 vulnerabilities, fed those to the OpenAI. OpenAI it was? I think we used OpenAI for that. And did a lot of work to make it easy for the tool to fix those. 31 out of the 105 were actually fixes that fixed the problem. Not all of them best practice fixes. Some of them were the one that I showed you here, for example, that it fixed the initial problem, introduced a different problem. But 54 of them actually touched the code in another area, completely not related to what they were asked to do. So, talking about the size of the problem, right? We have all the languages in the world. We have all the frameworks in the world. We have all the logic. But let's start in one place. If you have automatic remediation for one language in your organization, would that be valuable for you? No?
Depends on what that language is.
If that was in the...
PHP, no.
No, for one language that your organization is using.
Sure.
So start there and grow, right? It doesn't have to be all in one. It's not a compliance thing. It's not, I need a static analysis tool that I can say scans everything in my organization, including the COBOL applications that I have, that I sure hope that nothing will be found because I don't have any COBOL developer anymore. No, we're talking about actually getting value. I took a picture of this guy 25 years ago in Uruguay. So what is a false positive? I mentioned earlier false positive. I was hoping that someone here will mention it. You didn't. What is a false positive when it comes to static analysis?
Finding is not true.
Finding it is not true.
Or not exploitable.
Or not exploitable. Most of the modern SaaS tools, their false positives are the non-exploitable findings. It's not really why the hell this tool says that there is a problem. It's a bad code, but it's not exploitable. That's why we have all the reachability move, right? Of, hey, here's a problem, but you don't need to fix it because no one can reach it. Unpopular opinion number 3, but that's probably not for the security folks. It's for the developers and the business people. If it's not exploitable, it's still bad code, fix it. It's not exploitable today. It may be exploitable tomorrow, by the way, because someone may call that method from another location. I was talking about organizational policies. Anyone knows where this code was copied from? Which known vulnerable application it was copied from? I have another prize for the person that knows this. No pressure, but in Boston, someone knew. Then vulnerable Java application. Okay? So here there is a problem. There is a command injection here. And now our tool created a fix here that basically uses this method to fix a problem, but maybe in your organization, you're not allowed to use this. So how can an automatic tool offer a fix that will fit everyone in every organization and respect different policies? I mentioned the missing context earlier. Okay? So here's an easy one. Select, right, there is a string concatenation, there is a SQL injection. We all know, I hope, and we all know that you want to change it to parameterized query. And because it's a string here, I will use set string. But you know what? In our situation, it wasn't a string, it was an integer. And if you don't believe me that that can happen, this is from a real world application. Anyone knows where this came from? I'll make it easy. It's WebGoat. Thank you. You got it right. WebGoat also I had an argument with a customer just yesterday about this. Account name is a string, but actually in the database it's an integer. So when you automatically create the fix based on the knowledge that you have, you may be missing something, and that's also, you will break the application. I'll go quickly on some of these items. Basically, to your point earlier, business logic, architectural changes. Yeah, automatic remediation shouldn't fix those things. Do you really want something automated to change your code completely? No. Let's focus. If you have 100 findings, if it can fix 10 of them, 20 of them, 50 of them, anything that you can find saves you a lot of time. Basically, another point that I feel from more and more conferences, it's less relevant anymore. Developers like to copy code from Stack Overflow. Developers like to copy code from ChatGPT. Developers like to copy code from other places. It feels that developers will be more open to this. But if you're a security person and you're trying to introduce a tool, and there are a few automatic remediation tools today in the market, starting to be. If you're trying to introduce a tool in your organization, you need to understand it. You don't own the code. You can't push the fixes to the code. And even if you think so, you don't know better than your developers, because it's their application. You don't understand everything in the application. So what needs to be built is a technology that can work with the application, and the developer needs to be involved. I talked a lot so far until now. Any questions? It wasn't supposed to be a product pitch, by the way. There are few products in the market that are doing it. If it came out as a product pitch, I apologize. But if there are no questions, yes, question. Okay. So usually when we do session, I try to repeat the question. I will not try to repeat the question this time. But basically, in short, is the expectation that the developer just copy code to ChatGPT, tell it to fix it, or copy code to ChatGPT, but also gives all the reference that they have with the documentation and all that. I'm trying to describe what's going on in the world today. Developers take their code, put it in ChatGPT, and tell, fix this. Right. There is a vulnerability here, fix it for me, right? And one risk that security folks are crazy afraid of is that you send all your information to ChatGPT, and you did it with the free version that that OpenAI is later used to train their model. And it happens, right? We know that it happens already in many organizations. And the first problem is, yes, the information leak, but the second problem is that the code that is offered, anyone here heard about the research that Vulcan Security did on the hallucination on ChatGPT? I guess that you knew, and I know that you know, but ChatGPT hallucinates. Everyone knows that, right? It's part of what it does. And it may offer you libraries that do not exist, because it's assumed that that has to be that method and that library because it makes sense. And Vulcan Security is another cybersecurity company in Israel, and they did something cool. They basically figured out that there are hackers, or at least they show that it can happen, that once you ask ChatGPT to do something and it hallucinates with that library that doesn't exist, and the first time the compilation will break, they can create that library. They can add that code that will fix the problem, but also introduce some malware. So there is a risk with ChatGPT on that. By the way that I'm not going to do that now. I'll talk that later. Yes.
I'm not trying to do a really cool presentation, but so is software engineering, is it engineering or is it art? Because what I hear you saying is that even you go back to schools, they're not teaching developers what they need to know. And so I think engineering, I think it's hard, right? If software engineering were equal to engineering a car, there'd be cars that are all over the roads.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that we're running. So is software engineering and engineering, are there standards? I'm not a developer.
Yeah.
Are there standards to follow to do it right? I think of engineering, I think of bridges, I think of roads.
So
Is it engineering or is it art?
I have my idea, and I will say that, with the risk of influencing people here. I was a software engineer, software developer more than engineer, until 2014. I used to think that it's an art. Everyone write a little bit different. You put yourself into it. You solve problems differently. It's not just coding. You actually solve problems. You actually implement things, and you do it differently. Otherwise, everyone were the same. But anyone here thinks differently?
I agree with that. I think it's no different than security, right? It's security. Is security an engineering type philosophy, or is it an art? Right? There is
No, pen testing.
There's a lot of different, but there's a lot of standards in art too, right? Like there's standards on how you use particular materials in art, and how you put those materials on the board, what tools you use to make that particular piece of art, whatever it is. Art skill.
But so wait.
My point being more along the lines of like there are standards and there is a set practice on best practices. However, if you ask everybody in this room how they manage their AppSec program, I can guarantee that if there's 50 people in this room, I'll get 61 answers. So is it engineering or is it art, right? Like there's a balance there between what those standards are and the multitude of ways that you can implement something that does make it a little bit more art than that.
But more than that, I will add, you go to college, 3 years, 4 years, depending where you go, and you learn the base of what you need in order to grow your career later. The base of your profession, right? It's not enough time to learn everything, and the technology advances all the time. So if you went to a good school and if you're smart enough, you understood the base well enough to grow on yourself, grow on your own later, right? And then it goes sideways. Now, I went to school in 1999. I started college, and I learned, yes, if you get input from your user and it's for a zip file, a zip field, it's just numbers. If you're creating an array, I learned in C, if you're creating an array of 100 elements, you want to make sure that you only take 99 and not 100, and you don't want to break the null, well, in strings, you don't want to break the last one. You learn the basic of what input validation is, but no one took it to the level of cyber, and I was expecting that 27 years later it will change, but no, they're still learning the same thing. They learn software development, they don't learn secure software development. So sadly, if you go today, open your phone to Oracle, the goddess of Java, ask how to create a SQL statement, it will be the example that I showed you that is a SQL injection. It will be a string concatenation. It won't be the prepared statement. Why? I don't know. I didn't create a problem. I'm trying to help solving it. So we can do two things. I can do a quick demo, and I didn't record a demo, so sometimes it fails. Yesterday it failed on me. I can show you a demo of what we do, and I will do it with an open, free tool that everyone can use. And it's free today, and it will be free forever. It's not just free because we just started. Or I can continue with the deck. Demos. Okay, so I'll go with this demo first. I'm going to show you a tool that is basically an NPM package that it doesn't do a scan, but, well, if you have a security scanner of your own, static analysis, great. If you don't have one, one will be provided for you. So what we do here, we take advantage of the fact that SNCC offers a free-to-use tool. And I am not going to type because I need to look like this when I work on it. So the tool is called mobdev. Well, the tool is called Bugsy, but the command is mobdev. And I tell it to scan a certain repository. And when I do that, it will ask me, OK, which scanner do you want to use? And we have a fancy, some will say it's not that fancy. But we have some tools that we support. At the moment, we actually support SNCC. We support checkmarks if you have a license. But if you don't have a license, as I said, one will be provided for you. So I'm choosing SNCC here. And what happens now is we are downloading the SNCC command line to run the scan. If you don't have an account, it will be redirected to SNCC so you can create the account. But it's just like doing an auth, an OAuth, nothing more than that. And it runs the SNCC scan on this code that has only one vulnerability. I want it to go fast. Once the scan with SNCC completes, it will start automatically fixing it. So you see there is a test complete. It found one vulnerability. And it's a SQL injection somewhere. It's written probably. And then Mob created the fix. I will go here, and it will open the fix. Now, it's just one vulnerability. Don't ask me, well, you only fix SQL injection? No, we fixed more than one SQL injection. Hey, it worked. Yesterday, it didn't. So I am showing you the fix. And now to the points that I mentioned earlier, right? When I come to fix a SQL injection, and here we have, how can I make it better fit the screen? OK. So we have the vulnerable code on the left side. I'll do the inline. It looks better. We have a string concatenation of a user input. As I mentioned earlier, user input is, in this case, is a string. So when we create the fix, we assume it's a string. We do it this way. But you're the developer. I don't have access to the database scheme. So I don't know. Maybe it's something else. And as the developer, you may tell me it's an integer, and the code will automatically change to integer. And at the end, you finish, and you can commit the code directly to your repo, and I'll give it to, I don't know what's there. I can't see, I'll guess it's main. And I'm committing the code. What happens now, the tool, yes, question?
So you apply the fix, but wouldn't you then test the code to make sure the code still did what it was supposed to do before you apply the commit?
So when you commit code, you don't commit it directly to your main branch that it goes to production. You commit to a different branch and it's tested there. So what I'm showing here, I forgot that I actually said it, so this is really awesome now, this demo. I set this specific GitHub, still for free, this account with workflow that at first runs SNCC and then runs Mob on it. So basically it's the same scan running that I showed earlier from the command line. Now it is run part of the workflow on GitHub, and we have a GitHub action that, again, you can use for free if you have open source project. And as you can see, SNCC didn't report the issue now. So your question, did I test it? I test it now. Did I do the regression testing? No, but I do expect that any real world developers this day, as part of the workflow, they have some other tests also, some regression testing. Okay, so I showed you, yes, question.
Is Mob AI based on big language models, or how is it different than OpenAI?
Okay, that's a nice question, especially because you saw Mob AI, right, in the domain name. We are an AI company. Hey, everyone. And the proof of that, if you go to AI Dev World, you'll see that we were there yesterday. We are doing both. One of the concerns that I have with Gen AI is it's non-deterministic. Even if I train it a lot, it's non-deterministic. And the fixes that I will create will not pass the second scan of SNCC because maybe SNCC is looking for something else. We are using some AI, but at the end, the results, most of them today, are very deterministic. So we use it more in the research side than in the results. The fixes that Mob provide are based on rules. So at the end, there is a static analysis tool, and we work like human. There's a static analysis tool tells you, hey, here's a command injection. What you know, there's a string concatenation that was done with an unsanitized information. I need to sanitize it. So you understand how the root cause, what's the root cause and how to fix it, and then we apply it. There is some AI there, and we score those results also based on the responses that we get from developers. But again, this is free to use. If you have an open source project, by the way, it will be free forever. If you don't have an open source project, use it for now, because one day it won't. But it will. It will be always free, just not in an automated way. So, wow, that was a big echo. Yeah. So going back here, how do you get ready for this? And again, there are a few companies. There are also, if you will go to GitHub Universe in 2 weeks, lucky you, I'm not, there is a session there about their automatic remediation that's coming up. SNCC is coming up with their own automatic remediation. Veracode already came with automatic remediation. Check them, right? And there are 3 startups, at least that I know, 4 startups that I know that have their own. It's coming, right? It's a blessing. It's a problem that needs to be solved because, as I said, and yes, I know I'm biased, it's a technology problem. You can't put more bodies on it and expect it to be solved. But what you do need to do, understand what it can do. No, it will not fix business logic. It will not fix architectural changes. And honest to God, you don't want it to do that because how can you even evaluate that? Set the right expectation with your team. So yes?
Is it connecting to any backend, or is it just client-side?
No, backend. Now, here's just an example of one thing that automatic remediation tools should not fix. An easy problem to solve, conceptually. A weak encryption. Static analysis tool will tell you you're using a weak encryption algorithm here, you should upgrade. Okay, so that's easy. The automatic remediation should just change it to a strong encryption. What will happen at that point? The application will break. Because there are all the places that you didn't decrypt with a strong encryption. And yeah, and maybe you encrypted something and then put it in the database, and when you remove it, you decrypt with a new, it doesn't work. So there are things that automatic remediation shouldn't be allowed to touch, even. But think about all the things. Someone in the 10 a.m. talk mentioned about SQL injection, I think. Or was it next to my table, someone raised it. SQL injection is top 10 OWASP for what, 20-something years? It can be fixed with this. So why should we still see SQL injection and cross-site scripting and command injection and all those nasty things?
Because people keep on cutting and pasting
Exactly.
instead of writing
So to your question earlier, it's not just art, it's art with no ownership. How is it called when people copy from another?
No copy.
Plagiarism. Dev is the world of plagiarism, completely.
And that's always a problem, because then who owns the copyright? You know, your legal team's like, you cut it out of Oracle code, or?
No, I copied it.
For IBM and acquisitions, when we have to go through the code, like, all this code, we make sure
Yeah.
to make sure you don't hack and put something in. Because
And if you
might
copy
have
from a
someone sue you and go, I need the money for the last 10 years that you used that code.
Or maybe
Every
someone
customer
copied a
has-
code from a GPL library
Yeah.
and put it in without the attributes, or not that it would help, but then no tool will find it, and suddenly all your code needs to be open sourced. Yes. So that's a different problem of the world. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get a chance to all of you. I
That's a shame.
take care of the priority or the rating severity.
No. And you know why? Because someone asked us. The tool itself, if you go, and again, it wasn't supposed to be a product pitch, it was about the technology. The tool itself allows you to select what you want to fix. But at the end, if you have 100,000 findings, do you want to automatically fix all of them? No. You want to do it in steps, but control it with your whatever tool that you have. Yes.
How do you avoid the issue of tail leading when you're using AI results to feed into information?
How do you avoid it? What?
Like, so one of the biggest problems with generative AI is basically tail leading, right? As I feed it information, it's going to use that information to build its language model.
Okay.
If you feed it in incorrect information, it's going to build those into its overall models and feed back in that information.
Let's talk in-
It's a tail leading situation, right? So if I'm using generative AI for remediation guidance, and I'm feeding it poor examples of remediation, I have the potential of getting poor remediation back. So how do you avoid that tail leading scenario with your generative AI offering remediation advice?
So you don't do it this way. You don't just train it with whatever willy-nilly code that you get. And this is one of the problems that happened with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
It was fed with everything in GitHub. And among those, there were the web goats of the world and the Altor.j and the,
Sure.
right, so that's a problem. You can't. I agree with you. Important thing is, and this is to your point earlier about the testing, if you plan to use automatic remediation when it comes, and you should, right? It will come a year from now, 2 years from now. Make sure that you start doing the dev work of automatically testing more. Increase your coverage. This is something that developers actually can relate to. Yes, they can add more tests. So the more you add it, the more confident you will feel when you add the automatic remediation. And here's the thing. Today, in many organizations, when a developer fixes something, security needs to approve it. Imagine you have 10,000 fixes now because it's so easy to fix. Can security actually stand there and stop and make sure that everything is fixed? No, you need to check the tool, the technology that you're using, understand how they are fixing. And once you understand, okay, this is how they fix cross-site scripting in different scenarios, okay, dev team, you can use that, and you don't need to go through me later. You empower them to go faster. And basically, this is again, picture from home. The fact that you don't need to approve everything, and it's a mindset shift for some of the security folks. The fact that you don't need to approve everything doesn't mean that you lose your governance. You still run your scans. How did you learn that there was a problem in the first place? Another technology found it. Trust that technology again to check it. And if it doesn't report, then the issue is solved, right? I worked with a certain company. The security team were running scans. Well, it was part of the pipeline. If the tool found something, it had to go through the security team before even developers saw the problem, because they don't trust the developers to not hide it somehow, go around it. It doesn't work. I hope you don't work in such companies. It's really going to be, you will be one of those companies that were big and got lower later on. And questions? No questions? Okay. Thank you, everyone. If you trust me, and you should, you can scan this. If not, you can just go to mob.ai and get access to that open source tool that I mentioned. So there is a link there. Go to the community. And let's change the industry from just testing and start to focus on the fixing, because testing, there is no one company in the world that got more secured by scanning their code. Let's admit it, right? You actually need to fix. Okay.